So from our MDR implementations and listening to our MDR customers, we've learned quite a bit, and hopefully this information will be useful to any IVDR manufacturers. The first challenge has been around finding all the affected labels. Labels are never all stored all in the same place, or the artworks are never all stored in the same place. Sometimes they're stored locally, sometimes they're in regional businesses, often they're in different types of applications, so they're different file types, etc. Sometimes the artwork may be at agencies and that needs to be recalled back from agencies, or even sometimes artwork or labels could be at subcontractors, your third-party suppliers. So gathering all the labels required in one place to look at the scale of the task is the first challenge and can be very time consuming. The second thing we've learned, once we know the scale of the task and we have access to all the labels or artworks affected, is literally the sheer scale of the task. The task is huge. Often there are thousands of labels to update and change. Our experience says that almost every time the scale of this task has been underestimated, and there's never been enough time or enough resources to complete the task on time. Once you've made an effort to try and deal with the task and deal with the workload, the first problem that crops up from that point on is actually you need some new content. Some of the symbols take a long time to be approved. For example, the new medical device symbol was a long time becoming approved before everybody could use it on their labels. There's some new IVDR symbols. Those new IVDR symbols have got to be approved and finalised. Some are and some aren't. So getting the content together, along with translations, for example, along with getting the translations approved by regulatory people, it's a whole task, and the content needs to be ready before you can start any label changes. And once again, the time to get the content organised is usually, and it has been, underestimated by most of our medical device customers. And finally, what we've learned is that actually medium and large medical device companies, when complying with MDR, they've looked at technology to solve the problems, and yes, technology can help. It can reduce the times, it can reduce the workload, but technology can't do it on its own. It needs input from the customer, and some of our customers have thought they can just pass the job to technology and the job's done. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And at the same time, some agencies and some consultancy experts have taken on the task to do the task completely for customers as a service, and because they're not connected to the devices and they're not connected to the customer's market knowledge and market understanding, what they've generated has not been correct either. So in conclusion, the only way to solve this problem of scale and task and workload is for a customer, a device company, to use technology in conjunction with the expertise in the technology company and the expertise within their own business. So our recent projects have been focused on MDR, and they've been around implementation projects. The 12-month period before the May 21 deadline was a very busy period for us. We were delivering multiple new projects at any given moment in time, but that peak of MDR has died down now. But what I would point out is that we were still starting work on new projects, new MDR projects, 3 months before the deadline last year, and at the same time we knew there was no chance of meeting the deadline because 3 months is not enough time to implement a major MDR compliance system and update 10,000 or 20,000 labels. So those customers and those projects they're working on have accepted that timeline, and we moved forward and we're delivering, albeit late, but at least there's been a plan to deliver to make compliance. The key thing really on all of these projects, where it's MDR or IVDR, is a partnership with the customer. The customers won't be able to do it without the technology, and they'll struggle to do it with a partner if the partner doesn't help with the medical device experience. So the partner needs medical device experience, and combined with that experience and that technology, there should be a successful completion of the project. What I can also share with you is I don't think we have any customer or any project that we're aware of that was completed ahead of time for MDR compliance. The 1-year extension due to COVID gave people more time, but most people needed that extra time to become compliant. And there's a lesson to be learned there for IVDR companies. These projects do take a lot more time than people expect, and they need to be started as soon as possible. Just a few words about that at the moment. We're looking at MDR project completion, and we're also now looking at quite a few new IVDR projects that are starting now. But once we start this year, we'll be complete, I'm sure, and compliant by May of next year, the deadline. But if we start projects in January or February next year, then I'm fairly sure they will miss the deadline, albeit they will be maybe complete by summer of 2020.